Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tisa Tsosileko and you are tuned into a safe space where we can have transparent conversations on life, love, and all things healing. So today we're speaking healing, a different kind of healing. This video was most requested by people on my Instagram, and also my friend just gave me a push so that I can, record this video. But we are talking postpartum recovery. I mean, I don't think there are enough people who talk about this. I mean, a lot of people are well informed about, what to do during pregnancy, what to do during labor, but they don't talk about this thing, man, of coming back home and having to recover from 9 months of carrying a baby and a few hours of, bringing a baby forth, and wow, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, there's nothing cute about postpartum recovery, nothing fancy, nothing, no guys, it's a lot, it's a lot. From the bleeding to the pain because your uterus is contracting, from trying to nurse a baby who doesn't want to nurse, or trying to feed a baby with your cracked nipples is a lot, it's a lot. But before I even get into the video, I just want to call out Carriwel. Maybe I'm the only one who had this problem, but guys, this brand, it's called Carriwel. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's called Carriwel. They have these long pads that I showed you in my previous video, right? They have these long pads that you use, after giving birth, because there's a whole lot of bleeding going on down there, after giving birth. Understandably so. But my problem is these pads don't stick on these huge panties they give you. You see how sexy this woman looks, and how this panty just looks like it just sits there. It's perfect, nothing moves. It's not how it happens. Firstly, I think this is what needs to kind of tell new moms or mummies that they go war when you get home, because firstly, this panty should let you know that I can't be that. This panty must just let you know that it's not going well. It's not going to go well for you. So the struggle I had with these things is that the pad kept moving. It kept moving. Do you know how disgusting that is? There's a whole waterfall coming out underneath you, and this thing that is supposed to be a protective layer just moves. And that time I was bleeding a lot. I lost a whole lot of blood after giving birth, and I had to use 2 pads every 3 hours or whatever. And I hate blood. The reason why I wear Lilith's tampons is because I don't want to go to the toilet and have to see the blood on my pad every time I take off my pants. So it was a very rather horrific experience for me, so yeah, those pads didn't work well for me. I had to wear 2 of them, like I said, and they'll move, guys. When I'm sleeping, I'll be uncomfortable. I'll put linen savers on my bed, and I'd wear ski pants, toffee, to sleep in. It was just uncomfortable for me. And wow, they need to make a plan. Maybe have wings for these pads, something to just hold them together, because these panties aren't even sexy at all. Anyway, nobody wants to look sexy, I know, but it just is frustrating. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the real deal. So I can only speak on my experience. I know I've been having conversations with other mummies. I had a vaginal birth, so I'll speak on that. And if there are other mummies out there who've had C-section births, and they want to share how their postpartum recovery was, then you're so free to do that in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Let's let these people know that it's not all bed of roses, and this is not to ruin motherhood for you, but it's just to let you know, and so that you are ready for bliss. So with me, I did mention in my previous video that my son had latching problems. So at some point within day, like the next day after giving birth, my nipples were torn. So it was so painful to feed, and I had to feed my baby. I had to make sure that the baby's fed. So the first night my baby slept without feeding because nothing was coming out, but he was still fine. And when I got home, the first thing that I did, because my nipples were cracked, right? So the first thing that I did, I went to get nipple shields from Baby City. Life-saving decision, because while I was in pain, it did help for a while, but then I think my son hates the feeling of the rubber. It is seamless, so I don't know, but he just didn't like latching on it. So I'd let him latch for a few minutes so that my nipples come out, or whatever, and so that he can latch better. But as time went, and by time I mean like the third day, and which is like our first day at home, by the third day my nipples were like cracked open and I was bleeding, so which meant that I couldn't really feed the baby on the boob that was bleeding, right? So I had to feed him on one boob, one breast. So this one was swelling. It was becoming so painful. Pumping was a horrific experience for me. So I just don't know. I just didn't know how to, come about it. So what I did, I had to now make Google my friend. Also called in my mom. My mother-in-law was here also to help me. So what I did then, as both my boobs started to swell, because now I'm feeding on one, and now both my boobs were like cracked and bleeding. So I had to make a plan to make the bleeding stop so that the baby can feed, right? And at that time, breast pumping was like a terrible experience. It was painful, guys. I had like engorged breasts. It was this big. It was huge. I generally have like small boobs, and to experience that kind of swelling and having to see my boobs, just blow up like that, it was pretty painful. It was not a good it was not a nice experience. I couldn't move my hands. I couldn't stretch. I couldn't turn to feed the baby. Carrying the baby was painful, because then it means I have to like sit in a certain position to make sure that my boobs are not hurting. It was a lot. So what I did to help with the breast engorgement, I don't know how it's pronounced, but that's how it's pronounced now, because that's how I'm pronouncing it. So I had to massage my breasts with a cloth and hot water, and then afterwards pump the milk out. It made it better because it made it a tad bit soft. I had clots, lymph nodes, I think that's what they call them, in my boobs, guys, and it was like I felt like I have some kind of cancer, but after massaging my breast with the hot cloth, it felt a bit better to pump the milk out. So I would pump the milk, and then the baby would feed from a bottle. So already by day 3, my baby was feeding through a bottle. This was only week 1, and I was seeing flames. It helps it helps to put a cabbage leaf on your breast and just close it. It heals the nipples, and it also makes your breast feel so much better. I did feel so much better like a day or 2 after doing that. So once that was done, I thought, the worst is over. And so there's the general pains that you go through. Obviously, your uterus is going back to normal, and your womb and everything is just trying to get back to its normal self, right? So you'll experience contracting. So each time your baby sucks on your boob, you feel the contraction. God is so like creative, guys, and I don't know how he thought of that, but it's genius, but very painful. And this time around, it was too painful, and I think it was so painful because my boobs were painful, and I was also experiencing the pain on my tummy. So I think it was just not a nice experience for me. yeah, and so now going back to the bleeding and the pad that was misbehaving, you are this person and you have a whole waterfall coming out of your underneath, and there are clots that are coming out. Obviously it's like everything, like your body is in shock and it's just trying to recover from the shock, right? And you have clots coming out. Clots, if you have period pains, you know how it feels when a clot passes through, you know, so you feel the pain. So you have period pains, like pains. Well, mine were bad, and it differs, you know, from any mom. Like it's different for different women, but for me it was very painful, and my pain tolerance is really high. So if I tell you that it's painful, then it is painful, you know. So yeah, so the one thing that people don't mention, and I think because we're embarrassed about it, is the fear of taking your first dump. Guys, you can just imagine, you just got stitches underneath, and you don't want, and I mean your body also just doesn't want to tamper with that part. You don't want to be like taking out, you know, number one, was it number two, whatever. You don't want to take a dump and then somehow while you're pushing the dump out, it opens up your stitch. I don't know, but like it's like a thing. We all get scared of taking a dump. So with my first pregnancy, they gave me like some pills that I had to like shove into my bums to help loosen my stools, right? And this time my doctor didn't do that for me. I'm like, this man, why? You know. So for the first week, guys, I didn't go to the toilet. And then I got constipated. So I remember my spiritual mom and my spiritual dad came, I think on the second week. They came, and my spiritual father is a doctor. So I tell him, like, because now I'm constipated, right? And obviously it is somewhere in the back of my mind that I might be, the pains that I'm feeling could be constipation and not the pains of my uterus, you know, going back or contracting. But I didn't want to think about it that way, because that means that I had to go sit down on the toilet seat and take a dump, and I can't do that because there's a stitch down there and I don't want to tear it, you know. So I tell him, I described the pain, and there was a time just before they came, I felt like this knot on my abdomen there, and I was like, yo, what is that? Is that my womb going back to normal? What? It was like hard. So I tell him, yeah, I'm like, I'm so concerned, and I'm thinking, you know, there's something serious going on down there, I mean on my uterus. And he's like, no, that sounds like feces, you just need to go take a dump. And I was so embarrassed, guys. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I touched my dump on my tummy, and you know, so he explained how it's the intestine and what the feces passing through the intestines. And I was just like, okay, I can't be feeling, you know, magaga on my tummy. I need to take a dump. And this was before I was like consistent with my postpartum belt. So once I started putting on the belt for the 8 hours that I recommended, then like my stools started becoming loose, and you know, lo and behold, it wasn't touching on any of my stitches. Okay, I had one stitch, but it wasn't even affecting anything. So I wonder why we are like so afraid of doing it all this time. I could have spared myself so much pain, guys, all because of magaga. Anyway, so yeah, like there's so much that I want to say, and I don't want to leave out anything. So part of the healing, obviously now it's the backache. So I mean, you know, I was fortunate enough to have, you know, both my mom and my mother-in-law come through, and my mom helped. My back was really sore. You can imagine, you just carried someone for 9 months, and you know, my baby was big, as you guys could have seen, and I did say, so my back was really, really, really painful. So my mom had to now massage me with warm water and, you know, compression, yeah, now on my back, just so that, you know, it releases or relieves me of the, you know, the pain. But it was really bad because I couldn't sleep, I couldn't sit up for too long. And oh yeah, and the other thing is I was always sitting up. I don't know why I wasn't lying down. Oh, but also because with feeding my child, I couldn't feed while I was sleeping as yet because my boobs were so painful and they were torn. I had to like feed him in a certain, you know, position. So I was always sitting on my bums and I was sitting on my stitch. So the pain, so now I have stitch pain, I have boob pain, I have abdomen pains. It was a load. I just had to put it there. It just, guys, like, can you guys tell how much I was in pain? Like, I feel like the pain that I was in, especially with the breast engorgement, like if I was to choose, if I wanted to go through labor pains and those pains, I'll definitely choose labor pains, guys, any day, without even flinching, without even thinking twice about it, because wow, that was painful. But anyway, so also back to the belt, it helped me as well with my back. It helped with loosening up my stools, but also it helped with my back, the posture, how to keep it in a certain posture, and, you know, eventually the back pain stopped. And now, okay, I think after 2 weeks, I was back on my feet. I was feeling so much better. The bleeding wasn't as much, so I could move from the big carriwel pad to a normal always night pad, right? And which was so much better because it did not move and it had wings. Carriwel, get yourself some wings. Red Bull, please. Anyway, so yeah, so now the problem is, and I've asked this question on Instagram, you know, okay, fine, I have healed, I'm not bleeding as much. Now the question at the back of my mind is, Yarlek, I am married, which means that sometime or the other, I need to go back to, you know, mommy and daddy time. Yes, I need to go back to having sex. And I had a panic of my life. Because with my first baby, I didn't really anticipate any kind of changes. I didn't even read up on, you know, what changes there could be after giving birth. I knew at the back of my head that, okay, you just gave birth vaginally. So there could be like a bit of changes. So when my husband and I actually did start, you know, getting intimate with each other with my first baby, I wasn't really as, I didn't know, you know. So when we did, it was a horrible experience for me because it was different down there. I even cried. I cried, guys. I was just like, oh, I don't want to do this. And my husband was like, no, I'm sorry. It's understandable because you just gave birth and wara, wara, wara. And that didn't make me feel better because I was just like, stop. I cried. And I think I still am traumatized by that. And I have some kind of fear of going there because I know it's not the same down there. Fine, it takes 6 weeks for, you know, you to heal, but it doesn't take 6 weeks for, you know, for you to go back to normal underneath, you know. And I asked the question on Instagram and I saw how a lot of mommies were so brave, like the Mbogoto. They were just like, I know, 5 weeks we were within. I'm like, I have insecurities. And I know I made a joke and I'm like, what if he goes in there and he doesn't come back because it's not the same. And it's my fear, guys. It's like, I need prayers. And maybe I should actually start praying about it because, wow, I'm terrified about going down that route. And I'm almost 6 weeks. So I am 6 weeks this week. And guys, I'm gonna run away. But I guess my husband will understand because, I mean, husbands are supposed to be understanding. But yeah, so that's the other, you know, anxiety that you have postpartum. So yeah, the other thing is that now every time I keep Googling, okay, how long does it take for you to heal down there? How long does it take for things to get tight enough for you to feel okay during, you know, intercourse? And like the results I'm getting are not satisfying, because someone said that it takes a minimum of 3 months. So a minimum of 3 months means it's not even the 3 months, you know, it could take longer, and up to 6 months for you to actually get back to normal. And I'm just like, I don't know, guys. And I know, like, I've been married to my husband for 5 years, and it shouldn't bother me that much, but it bothers me. It bothers me. I need the strength of the ladies who were saying that they, you know, went back in within a month. And the other thing that you have at the back of your head is like, you don't want to fall pregnant because you're highly fertile at that time. And I haven't even gotten an injection yet. So that at the back of my head is like, I don't want to fall pregnant. I don't want to also, like, you know, experience a weird, you know, intercourse session or worship session there with my husband, you know. So it's a real thing. It's a real problem. And there's no way that you can, you know, try, you know, solve it. You know, yeah, you can do Kegels, but honestly, it's not magic. Kegels are not magic. It does aid, you know, with, you know, fast tracking the process, but it's not a magic wand. But yeah, guys, like, it's a lot. Like I said, there's nothing cute about it. But in general, like, all these things do not supersede the fact that you are carrying a whole life, which is like amazing, and all of that. I am good. I think by week 2 I was feeling better, but I wasn't, you know, like, I wasn't in my best. Yeah, by week 2 I was feeling better. I was walking around. I was even at the malls, you know. But yeah, it's different for every mom. But for me, this time around, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. But yeah, we thank God for life. Nonetheless, we thank God for being with us, and I'm good now. And the funny thing about labor pains is that you actually forget how painful it was. Hence, I think I can say, you know, boldly that if I had to make a decision between the pain of breast engorgement and delivery pains, then I choose delivery, because I have already forgotten how painful that one was, you know. So yeah, this is it for my little transparent talk, and I just want you guys to give all mommies, you know, a big hug if you see them. Okay, no, it's COVID, so don't hug them, but, you know, salute them, buy them flowers, send them e-wallets, you know, tell them, yo, we know you're going through a lot, and just, you know, salute them, because wow, we go through a lot. Yeah, so yeah, that's it for today. My name is Disetso Selekwe, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We will still be talking about other things, mental health related, and I'll be posting the video by the end of this week. And yeah, let's have conversation. My name is Disetso Selekwe, and it's adios.